Welcome to the Bedroom Studios podcast, the podcast where we talk about what goes on behind the scenes in the musician's world and bridge the industry gap by bringing their stories, expertise, and advice to early career artists. Subscribe to join us for a fun chat about life as a creative person, tips and tricks for pursuing an artistic career, navigating the music industry, and more. My name is Emma De La Rosa, and today I will be interviewing Abby J. Hall. At just 24 years old, the emerging singer-songwriter Abby J. Hall has already hit many career milestones, including multiple songwriting credits in film and TV, and a national television advertisement with President's Choice. Hall also won Impact Theory's $100,000 songwriting competition, which was judged by industry heavyweights Randy Jackson, Joel Madden, and Mike Posner. Hall's 7-track debut EP, Vital Signs, is a testament to her emotive songwriting and ability to capture raw, heartfelt moments that listeners can relate to. I had such an amazing time chatting with Abby, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bedroom Studios podcast. We'll just get right into it. Welcome to the Bedroom Studios podcast. I'm so glad to have you on.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
My first question is, how would you describe your music to people who haven't heard of you before?
Ooh, I would probably say indie pop with some singer-songwriter folk influences. And if you like Lizzie McAlpine or Taylor Swift, maybe a combo of those two.
This is really exciting for me because you are speaking my language. I was listening to your project and it's music that it's so good. First of all, congratulations.
Oh, I'm so happy you like it.
It's just music that I would listen to, and even if I wasn't interviewing you today, I would just listen to it because it's just so great.
Oh my goodness.
It.
Wow. That means so much to me. Thank you, Emma.
To start things off, just more of introducing you and who you are, can you give a little bit of background on your musical journey and what are some things that led you to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up homeschooled, and I feel like my siblings and I were always running around the house creating little melodies. My dad taught us how to play guitar, and then I think when I really sat down and started writing my own music is when that love for music really started, because I always love the way music can make you feel, and it's like another language, to connect with people. But I think when I really started getting onto the writing side is when that love for music just grew, and I still would say that's my number one love in music.
Do you feel that there was a memorable turning point for you in wanting to pursue music as a career?
I think when I was 8, I saw a music video, Taylor Swift, Love Story.
Yes.
And I think I was just in awe that could be a career, just where you make music videos and music. And I think it just gave me this feeling oh my goodness, I want to create what I feel right now for the world. Well, not the world, really anyone who wants to listen, but I don't know. It's just there's so much power in music. And I think, yeah, Taylor Swift was a huge inspiration, in the early days.
She was for me too. I remember I was kind of late to the train. I enjoyed her music, but I wasn't as obsessed as a child. What really made me appreciate her even more was I watched this YouTube documentary that was made 15 years ago or something, and it was about her early music and her songwriting process and making her first album, and seeing how she worked as a songwriter was the thing that really inspired me.
She's incredible. Hey,
I know, right?
She's amazing. Do you write music too?
I do, yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm in the process of getting things started to record some new music, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'd love to hear. That's so exciting. Thanks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why I love interviewing artists like this, because it's I'm so passionate about it as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate the struggle. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I'd love to talk more about your EP. By the time this episode is released, your EP will also be released. So
Yay!
yeah. And I specifically I want to highlight some of the specific songs. So I was wondering if we could talk more about your song Better. I
Yeah.
really love that song. I also have a song named Better, but it's about kind of a
No
different
way.
thing. Yeah.
Do a collab combo.
Literally. We'll do a little mashup.
Yeah, totally.
Can you explain more about the meaning of the song and the songwriting process for your song Better?
Yeah, for sure. Better, I started writing in 2021, kind of during a lockdown.
Mm.
And it was just a lot of like self reflection. I was at my keyboard and really just thinking about like humanity and how I personally sometimes can tend to always, as I'm an oldest sibling of two, so I feel like it's easy to kind of like make sure that everybody else has what they need, and you don't always like look to see if you're also okay. So I think it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of more of like a self-love song in a way, and it became a favorite of mine to play at shows. And whenever I would play it, I feel like people were able to connect with it. So I was like, you know what? Got to record this one. And yeah, I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It really struck a chord with me. Um, Especially when you're talking about, I sort of think about it or I interpreted it like in relationships where
Mm.
if like the relationship's not working, but you're still putting in so much effort to
Mhm.
make
Mhm.
the other person happy. It was
Mhm.
kind of a learning thing that I went through of like sometimes things just aren't right for you, and no matter how much you try, it's still not going to be right.
Mhm. And you can want it like so badly to work, and then you just
Yeah.
end up having to, yeah, let it go. And also there's a line that says, "I spent so much time checking your vital signs, I
Yeah.
forgot about mine." And that really was what inspired like naming the EP after Vital Signs. So that's like the only song on the EP that mentions vital signs at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fun. I don't know.
I love it when the name of the EP or the album is from a lyric in the song
Hmm.
instead of having a title track. It's almost it's like an Easter egg where you're not gonna know what the title means until you actually
You
listen to
dig
all the
deep.
songs and you find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you incorporated a lot of different styles and energies into like for the different songs in your EP. I feel like it just flows so nicely from one to the other.
Yay. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you like it.
My favorite song is The Observer because I think I'm also biased because it's like I love the chord progression in the chorus. It's
Hmm.
my favorite.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
And I also wanted to say about your song Better. I think it takes a lot of strength and courage to realize that for yourself to realize that you're taking care of everyone but not taking care of yourself. I think that's a
Hmm.
hard thing to it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
Hmm.
Especially I don't know if you're a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser, and so for me it's a hard pill to
Hmm.
swallow.
It kind of reminded me sometimes of, I feel like this is very overused now, but like on the planes when they're like, make sure you put your own mask on before
Mm,
helping someone else. That kind of
yeah.
like analogy also really inspired a lot of like um the language and theme of the song too. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's that whole, because it's a weird thing because you want to always be helping someone
Yeah.
first, but there's like, yeah, if you're not to fill others up, you need to like be filled as well. Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't know. It's an interesting concept.
Setting boundaries is hard. I don't
Hmm.
like it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think now that I'm starting to put together a little bit of a bigger project in my own music, I like asking this question to
Hmm.
artists. When you're making an EP or when you're making an album, how did you decide which tracks to include and the ordering of the tracks, and was there a song that you really liked but you had to leave out of the project for whatever reason?
Yeah, well, I'm sure you know all about this. It's always, I feel like, so hard to choose
Yeah.
because you come with so many on the table. Then even now, I still am like, honestly, if I could do an album, I would just keep putting more and more out. And I also feel like once you finish a project, you're already like on to the next mentally, like in your mind. So I feel like choosing these songs, I really just went off of, I worked with a great producer, Tal Vaisman, and we probably worked on a few months last year, just narrowing down and just kind of getting feedback from friends and family as well. And then In My Dreams was a song that was kind of added later. Like it was an aftermath with the rest of them, because I met a great producer named Chad Howat in Nashville. And I just loved his vibe. He was a fan of like Sigur Rós, which is like really
love.
Yeah, he's just like, he was a cool, I loved his musical like taste. And we wanted to create a song that sounded a bit like a theme track, or like it could be on the film. So I really wanted to use that one as like the opener.
Yeah.
And then The Observer was also one that almost didn't make it. I had actually 6 tracks, and then the 7th was added after going to a trip to LA, and I met with the songwriter Emily Reid, and I brought like this idea to her, and we honestly like finished it like in one session, and I was like, hey, I feel like this has to go on the EP as well. So it's fun when you kind of like, you plan, but you also leave room to, I don't know, like see what happens like during the recording writing process.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so glad you included The Observer. I really like that song.
How do you find you narrow it down for yourself?
Money.
Oh, true.
It's so
no
expensive.
Facts.
If I could, if I had the, I guess like the funding backing things up, then I would release music all the time.
Yeah.
I think for me it's a combination of, let me think about this. I started doing more live performances last year, and I think that's helped a lot, because if I don't feel super strongly about a song, I'm not going to bring it to my band. Or I might bring them a song that I'm kind of like, I'm not sure about this, but I want to try it, and then playing it with them will help me understand how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And then from those songs, it's a combination of things that resonate really strongly with me, and then also how other people like it. There's some songs where I'm like, oh, I don't think this is okay, and then I play it to them and they're like really vibing with it, or they'll remember.
Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell, especially when you're playing it for someone in person, you can tell if they're like, yeah, this is a good song, or if they're like actually nodding along, or if they remember a lyric from the song. Yeah, you could tell there's some subtle differences, and that helps.
I love it. Isn't it? It's so cool too when you do like you're saying play with a band. It's almost like this, it just comes alive, like this idea even more. It's such a cool experience. Yeah. I find my mom is actually probably one of my hardest critics, because she probably is just so used to me singing around. She'll be like, yeah, I like that, or I don't know. Doesn't sound great.
Yeah, well, when someone hears you all the time, and then if they say, oh, that's a really good song, then you know they mean it.
Totally. Yeah, the most valued opinion for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, one time my parents were, because I give them the phone, I'm like, film the gig, and in one of the recordings I was playing a song, and you can hear my dad whisper to my mom, oh, I really like this one. And I'm like, oh,
on the recording.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Classic.
Yeah. We love supportive parents.
I love it. I know. I find sometimes like in concerts, you know how you like to like scream?
Yeah.
But sometimes you get back the recording and it's all like just you screaming. So now like if I take clips, I'll like try to not sing at that part and then just put it down and sing. But it's so funny like listening to it back, hearing your own voice.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way. And then when you're screaming along with 100 other people, you think you sound so great.
So
and then
good.
You hear
Yeah. You're like, whoa, okay. All right, humbled.
Yeah. Is there an overall message you would like people to take away after listening to your EP from top to bottom?
Yes, I would love the message to be to give yourself grace and to step out into the unknown because you never know what is out there waiting for you or has been right there all along.
I love that.
Be free.
Yes. I just want to say I love your voice. It's gorgeous, especially your high notes.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
it's
you.
so gorgeous. Your head voice is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Emma. That's so nice.
Yeah. When you say be free, I think your voice really encapsulates that because
Mm,
it's like a
wow.
bird call. It's just
Oh my goodness.
gorgeous and free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the truth, so I gotta say it.
Aw.
So you mentioned co-writing in Nashville and in LA. And so how did that work? How did you set that up?
So it's like people through people. So I guess for The Observer, it was another connection here in Canada of just like through different people. It was like, oh, you need to meet Emily.
That's
And
so
so, yeah,
cool.
I feel like that doesn't really answer your question, but I would say like through
Yeah.
mutual friends in the industry who know of people out there.
Mhm. I think for a lot of people, things like that they seem so distant, but then if you actually go out and start
Yeah,
collaborating and start working with people and going to places, then those things start to happen. Like even if it's just finding a friend, it's more of a step forward than sitting in your room.
totally. Yeah, and it's awesome to see like a lot of musicians just like wanting to collaborate too, and even just like reaching out. Like I'm a big fan of reaching out to people and just googling and like finding people who I love their sound as well and just like throwing it out there like, "Hey, would you want to collaborate?"
Yeah. So in your bio, it said that you won Impact Theory's songwriting competition. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I didn't know that songwriting competitions existed until last year. Uh, and so I was wondering if you had any advice for artists who were thinking about putting something in or entering that sort of competition.
Yeah, I would say songwriting competitions, I feel like even if you don't place, they can be so helpful because sometimes you'll have judges feedback as well. And I feel like just like growing in songwriting and you also sometimes get like lists of names of other songwriters in your area that have like submitted. So you can also connect with people that way. And so I would always recommend to enter songwriting competitions just for fun,
Yeah,
no matter like what the outcome is.
that's so great. And I mean, you got a really amazing outcome for this one, which is awesome.
Thank you. It
Um,
was so fun. It was such a I think this song that I created this with Tal Faisman, and I think I just loved the song too. So in general, I was like, you know what? If whatever happens, it's just I felt proud of the work that we
yeah,
submitted. So it was yeah, I was such a very honored, very excited to have received that.
yeah. So I got in contact with you through, I'm not sure if it's a management company or a PR company.
Yeah, yeah.
That's such a step forward. And it's so amazing that you get to work with amazing people who help on that more like, administrative side of your music. And so I was wondering if you could talk more about that experience and any advice for artists or things that have gone really well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm working with Penelope PR with Tiffany and Nicole. They are the best. And yeah, it's been really fun to just kind of have some new opportunities through working with them. And it's been really great to have, I think, it's hard to do everything on your own.
Hmm.
And so, as you would know, when you're doing everything, it can get like overwhelming. So, it's been a really great help to have them delegate some other more opportunities coming in. And they're just also really great people to work with.
Yeah.
So, it's been really fun.
Was there a point in your journey that you realized, okay, I've done a lot on my own, and this is the point where it would make sense for me to work with a PR company? And what was that point for you?
Yeah, I think I mean, honestly, Emma, I feel still like I'm learning so much, and I still feel like there's always room to like add more people onto the team, which is a cool thing to just kind of like be on that journey. I think when I started, I came up with a song like a long time ago when I was like 17. It's called Busy. And so I put like some songs like self and just kind of tried to promote them myself. And then I think just like as I kept releasing more music, I was like, it would be great to get more help on the PR side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really awesome.
It's been fun. They're great to work with.
The music business is a weird thing, and there's so much to know about
Mm.
it. And it's like when you have people who've been working in this area for a lot longer and have a lot more
Mm.
experience,
Mm-hmm.
then it's just, I don't know. I assume it feels more secure that, okay, I'm making this project, and I have people who really understand what to do with it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Because I feel like it's hard. You can't be good at everything. And
Mm-hmm.
even this, like, I'm putting on like an EP party. I feel like even like learning through like planning that whole side of things, like, I don't know what I'd do without a lot of like even the band members that are helping with a lot of the technical side of things and then help with, other elements of it that I guess you, with the people you meet along the way and you're on this crazy path. I feel very thankful to not be just doing it, you know, by myself. I mean, there's still a lot further I think I can be going, but it's always great to be working with people who are like experts in their field.
Yeah. For you, what does the day-to-day look like, and how do you balance all of the artistic things that you do? I know for me, I don't balance things very well, because when I have
Mm.
time, I will spend all of it on music, and then I will sometimes get burnt out from it,
Mm.
just because I don't. It's not like a 9 to 5 job where you clock out at the
Right.
end of the day and then you just don't think about it. I think about it all the time. I don't know if you're the same
Mm.
way, but what does the day-to-day look like for you?
Yeah, well, I feel like that probably means that you're meant to be doing it too, which is really cool. If it's always in your mind, which is awesome. I think for me, yeah, I think the balance of probably trying to split up the time of, creating, like writing, and also on the business side. I think over the past year, I've been thrown in more on the business realm,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's really easy to get caught up in just like doing emails and stuff all day long. But it's so important to also like remember to connect with that artistic, creative side. And then I also work part-time too, so
Mm-hmm.
but I'll write as much as I can because I feel like that's like it reminds you and kind of grounds you why you're doing it, when you get to just work on your craft and all that the other stuff you can kind of set aside for a bit.
Yeah. Are you the kind of person that will write a whole song in one sitting, or do you write bits and pieces over time?
Ooh, I feel like it's like really different with each song. I usually like to give myself breaks and like come back to it, but then if I'm just like really feeling it in the moment, I'll just like sit down and finish it. But usually I'll come back to it. I'll just like start a bunch of ideas and then give it a rest and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I do the same sort of thing. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to finish a
Mm.
song in one sitting, and part of that was because I was so busy with school and with all
Mm.
these other things that I wouldn't give myself time to actually be creative. But then now I try to give myself a little bit more time and sort of keep on checking back with my ideas. And I think that's giving me some better songs, because I'm not,
Mm.
I don't, it's not, I'm not writing it to finish the song. I'm sort of
Yeah,
seeing where it takes me.
I love that.
I try to get as much of a song either done or at least having ideas generated for it
Mm.
in one
Hmm.
sitting. And then the more draft ideas I have, the easier it is to piece things together when I return to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that way of thinking too. I find too for me creatively, I think it's sometimes good to like give yourself a timeline or be like, I want to write 100 songs in how many ever days. And I think that's a really great thing to do. And a lot of songwriters like thrive under those environments. but I always find for me, I never like to put a pressure on because I want
Yeah.
the song to be the best it can be and it not just be a number of like songs that I can create, but it's just like it's uniquely special. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I relate to that so much.
Like the quality over quantity, I guess. Same
Yeah.
with like I guess posting, I think everyone says like just make sure you post all the time. But then if you're just posting like nothing, it's almost like not to say that songwriters who are writing 100 songs a day are like writing nothing, but I feel like everyone has their own way of writing and coming to their own ways of finding that creative process. And I feel like for me, I just like to give it time and space and not put too much pressure on the song.
Yeah. Because I've heard that same thing too, where they say, "Oh, write one song every day, and it doesn't matter if sometimes it'll be a bad song, sometimes it'll be a good song." But I don't want to write bad songs. I think I don't know. Maybe it's like with what you were saying. I think each way of doing it, you're releasing the pressure off of different things. Like with
True.
with trying to write, if trying to put a number or writing a certain number of songs, you're taking the pressure off the quality and then seeing what will happen. And then with what we were talking about, we're taking pressure off the quantity.
Yeah, and I definitely have written like so many bad songs too, though.
Yeah, me too.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, I think that's a like a confidence thing I had to really work on. Where it's like, oh my gosh, I wrote a song and I don't like it. That must make me a bad songwriter. It's like, no,
You're like,
not
no,
how it
just
works.
try again.
Yeah.
I know. I find honestly that I cringe at most things that I've done in the past or even like recently. So that's an interesting thing to just put it out there and keep moving.
Yeah. And that made me think about how I wrote this one song in January and it was passable. It was okay. And I said to myself, this is okay. It's fine. Probably not going to do anything with it. And then a couple of months later, I came back to it and I rewrote the chorus. And then all of a sudden, the song slapped. It was that was one of the songs I brought to my band, and they were like, "Man, this is a really good song. You should release it."
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, I find that I'm not as strong with writing hooks the first time around. Sometimes with the second attempt, it's a bit better. But that was one of those times where, sometimes you go back and revisit it, and then you just change one thing, and it changes the song.
And it works.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love that you didn't give up on it either, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I fully gave up on it, but I was like, oh,
you're like, you just gotta change the chorus.
Yeah, let's see what we could do with this.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you releasing it too?
Yes.
Yay.
I'm gonna do 4 songs, record them this fall, and then I'm gonna start releasing them between like February and August.
So exciting. Yay.
I was working at a camp this summer, and so I had no time to do anything. And so the whole time I was just thinking, like, oh, when the summer's over, I'm gonna make some music.
You're like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
That's so fun. I can't wait to hear.
Thanks. I appreciate it. When we talk about songwriting, I find it really interesting to hear about people's takes on showing their emotions in their songs and writing about really deep feelings, which you do. There's, when you listen to the lyrics in your music, there's so much there, and it really strikes a chord. And sometimes it could be really hard to release songs that are so vulnerable. But I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Again, that really means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably pull inspiration from other artists that I look up to and admire, and I love how they express their vulnerability into music. And I think that just encourages me. And I think you can also write from a place of, deep feeling, and it helps you work through those emotions and that challenging time, whatever you're writing about. And then the song almost, I feel like, takes on a life of its own. And you can look at it as like, you know, I was there once and I was in that like intense emotion, but now it's just like it's its own. It's like it's kind of like a box of like memories, or like that's kind of how I look at it, and you can like pull them out and they can become something completely different for someone else as well, which is I always find that really cool when I write a song with a totally different meaning in mind, and then someone else would listen to it and they're like, wow, like this made me think of something completely different. And that's amazing because that's what music is, right? It has like everybody can individually connect, hopefully, to
Yeah.
put their own experiences in the music as well.
There was something someone said to me once about pop music and pop songs, because like I studied classical music in university, so
Wow.
there was but you know, there's when you're in that environment, pop music can sometimes be looked down upon,
Mm.
and so I took there was a songwriting class, and on the first day, our prof said to us how he said that exact thing, how pop music is sometimes looked down upon, but
Mm.
the real strength of a pop song is that it can capture a feeling or capture a moment in time so
Mm.
well, more so than anything else, really. I
Mm.
always remember that.
I love that.
Yeah, can relate to what you were saying. It's almost like a scrapbook, all of the songs you
Mm.
wrote in the past. Do you ever look back on a song you wrote and just think, oh man, I forgot that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I would think the crazy thing too about music too is like the from when you start writing it to when you're recording it and then finally releasing it. Like sometimes it can be 4 years or more,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So you're in a totally different even time and space than when that song was originally created. So I think
Yeah.
it's always like it's a fun thing to kind of reflect and look back on. But I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people will be like, "Oh my gosh, like who did you write that about and are you okay?" And it's like, "Oh no, like I wrote this years ago. I'm good." Yeah, so it's always funny.
Can you take us through the timeline of writing a song and then releasing it? Because you know, you've mentioned that it takes many years, and I can relate to that, but also like I was applying for grants this
Mm.
past couple of months,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was thinking to myself like, oh, I should have started applying last like previous year for what
Mm.
I'm doing now, because that timeline is so different. But
Mm.
for you specifically and your music and your arts, can you take us through your timeline?
I'd say kind of over the time of COVID, I feel like for a lot of people was like a really massive creating time where you could just like write and not a lot of people are doing shows.
Yeah.
So, which I think is so cool to see all the albums coming out this year. Like it feels like
Yes.
pretty much every artist is like they're back at it, which is such an exciting thing to see. And I think when you're, you know, deciding which songs you want to be releasing, sometimes ones that have like stuck with you for a few years just like come to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes that timeline even of like writing, like even my newer songs on the EP are now old because everything was written like last year, then recorded months later.
Yeah, if everything feels when you're receiving when something's posted on the streaming services, for everyone listening, that's the right now.
Yes,
It
yeah, yeah,
feels
yeah.
like you just wrote all these
Mm-hmm.
songs yesterday and now you're sharing them, but there's so much time and effort that goes in before anyone hears this music.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Or even like drama that you see online too, where they're like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, did this just happen? You're like, it probably took them a while to write all this. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
I see I spend way too much time on the internet, but on TikTok they do all these analysis of different pop artists, and they're talking about the music that they're putting out now and how
Hmm.
it was written about, oh, they're in this relationship 2 years ago or a year ago, and look at this connects to this and this connects to this, and it's like, wow, it's like everything that happened 2 years ago is recent now.
Yeah, it's like a whole roadmap. People are wild online.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm trying not to get onto the wrong side of TikTok.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has some funny videos on there too, man. You can get
Yeah.
really carried away. I can get carried away with all the funny videos on the For You.
It's the part twos that get me because sometimes I'll watch something that
Yeah.
I don't want on my For You page, but then I'm invested in it. And so I go to the part two and the part
And they
three.
never tell the full story.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, because I clicked on the part two, all of a sudden that kind of video is just all I see.
Yeah, they're smart.
It's those videos with the satisfying video. It's like, my wife cheated on me and this is how I got revenge. And then it tells the whole story that probably never even happened.
Yeah, or like doesn't tell the full story. Then you do have to keep going in
Yes.
parts. It's so funny.
Yeah. I don't think I haven't cracked the code yet on how to make a good TikTok for self promo. I just struggle.
TikTok's like weird though. Sometimes I feel like the videos that go viral are just, you can't really ever predict it, you know? And I feel like now, because there's so many people on the app, and it's a lot of labels and most management companies like really push for artists to be like marketing there all the time. It's become so flooded that TikTok now is doing a thing where you have to pay for views, which they didn't do that at first. So I think it's just getting like, it's hard to predict which videos are gonna make it or not. But just post them anyway, I say.
Yeah, I like your singing
I'd love to
videos.
see them.
Yeah, there's like you have to pay for ads for everything in order to get any sort of traction.
Yeah, even the check mark on Instagram now, which is crazy because you used to just get that like once you became, like more worldwide. And now you could just buy it, which is crazy.
Yeah, man. We're getting too close to the end of our interview. So I have two more kind of the final questions that I ask everyone. So the first one is, what resource or piece of advice would you give to your younger self when you were beginning your journey?
Probably to not worry so much. Just enjoy it. Have fun. Keep writing. And I feel like that's the advice I still give myself.
It's hard to stay in the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think enjoying the journey and not stressing about outcomes, and just remember your why, like why you're doing what you're doing, and not to get caught up in like all the technical side. But yeah, remember why you love music.
That's really good advice. And the last question is, do you have a music recommendation for our audience?
Ooh, like another artist?
It could be anything you'd like.
Lizzie McAlpine. I'm literally obsessed with her whole album. Go listen to it. She's so good, hey? I love her.
I saw her last year when she came to Toronto. It was amazing.
Yeah, she's so incredible. And it's cool to see the trajectory of her career, like how she's gotten to smaller venues, and then now she just played Budweiser, which is so cool. Yeah, it's so awesome.
I'm worried about all of the artists that I like. They're gaining more traction, which is amazing for them. But like, no, play history, play like the smaller ones.
Yeah, you're like, I found you first.
I want to be in the front row, but I could only do it there.
That's so real. Oh my goodness. History is a cool venue.
Yeah.
I love that venue.
I love it.
So good.
I remember I went to see, do you know the band Oh Wonder?
I don't think so.
They're my favorite. You would love them. But I saw them 2 years ago or a year ago.
Okay.
Probably my favorite concert I've ever been to. And we got there early, and we got there pretty early. And so I was right near the front, close to the stage, and it was so amazing.
That's so exciting. Yeah. That's the best.
I didn't think I'd ever be a mosh pit girly because I'm shy, but I was going, like, I was dancing the whole time. I will jump up and down and be dancing. I went to a concert with my friend once, and he was standing behind me, and then after the concert he said to me that the whole time I was whipping him with my ponytail because I was jumping up and down for the whole concert, and he didn't tell me during the concert.
That's so funny. He should have just been jumping too, and then you guys could just avoid.
Yeah, it's good times.
That's so funny. Our concerts are the best.
Yes.
Love.
So I'm hoping I can make it to your EP release party.
Oh my gosh, if you can, I'd love to meet you. That'd be so fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was so amazing to meet you.
You too, Emma. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Bedroom Studios podcast. Don't forget to add this podcast to your playlists and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify at Bedroom Studios Podcast. You can also follow Abby J. Hall on social media and check out her music. All her links can be found in the episode description. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.